appeared in the print recently is from Taslima Nasreen. Now, she describes herself as a secular humanist. The title of that article was Mecca to Vatican, COVID-19 proves when human beings are in peril, gods flee first. When human beings are in peril, gods flee first. So where is God? Taslima Nasreen says gods flee first. And while there are a few criticisms against religions that she makes, which I think we can agree to, we'll be on the same page as her. But towards the end of that article, she makes some claims which we can call rather scientism, which is under the wheel of science. She's trying to make some claims like, I'll just read a few excerpts from there. It's been nearly 160 years since Charles Darwin disproved the existence of God by his theory of evolution. Humans were not made by a creator, they evolved from apes. Long before Darwin, 16th century figures such as Galileo and his predecessor Copernicus had shown that the biblical notions of space and cosmos were wrong. Despite this, most people in the world have continued to believe in the divine. Their invisible gods have remained invisible. No proof of their existence has been found to date, but blind faith has persisted. So she is setting up a straw man and attacking it as if this is the consensus among Christians about how we view the world. And she's making some statements which I think is not scientifically informed, like evolutionists disproved the existence of God and so on and so forth. Yeah. I want to hear from the scientist in the room here first. Finney, how would you respond to such claims? In the last part of the article, she's going on a rant against belief in God and theism in general, as if there is no evidence for God.
So I think this is a fallacy that's been, propagated since quite some time. And the thing is that for people who don't study evolution in detail, and also people who just know evolution as something from a school textbook, it's very easy to have a very simplistic view of, yes, we see this picture, like there's a chimpanzee, there's an ape, and then there's the Neanderthal, and somehow there's a human, and that is just simply not the case. First of all. Secondly, even if we would think that evolution in the simplistic sense would be true, that doesn't take away that there's a creator behind it. Because at the end of the day, no matter whom you speak to, I think the fact that atheists believe that there is no God takes a lot of faith in itself, which is more than what we as Christians can see from simple things around us. And I think what I would like to say, because I study molecular biology of viruses, but also of different things happening in the very utmost minuscule, microscopic cell that we have in our human body. At the end of the day, when a new life takes place, there's still a big question out there in biology as to how does this all start? People say that a sperm cell comes together with an egg cell, and then you have fertilization, and you have new genes that are expressed. But at the same time, no one really knows what kickstarts it.
Right.
And this has been a mystery that is constantly being there. Some organisms have what they call a starting material, but even that, what actually gives it a signal to go and do what it does, in putting it in very, very simplistic terms, we don't know it. So even though we as humans can claim to create a new life in the act of reproduction, it's not us doing it really in that sense. It's the spark of life that God has put into all of us and into every living cell, and simply the physical property of every element that we see around us is simply because God has designed the way it is.
Right.
And that's just defending the very I would say uninformed view that evolution disproves God, and that the church has been blinded because of its archaic view of the world, is simply something that someone has come across in a textbook maybe 3 decades ago, and is just not up to date with what's going on at the moment.
Right. In fact, when I read the article the first time, also the thing that came into my mind is that, well, she's not aware maybe of the, with all due respect, of the current academic dialogue that is happening in the philosophy of science and in science at large. And in the last bit, she says that their invisible gods have remained invisible. No proof of their existence has been found to date. Even if we assume that there is no proof, let's say, I mean, there's a world of evidence for the truth of Christianity and for theism, monotheism in general. But even if we take her claim that, well, maybe not, but the absence of evidence is not evidence of absence, right? How would you respond to the claims that Taslima Nasreen is making here?
I think two things I would say. Even her statement itself says Charles Darwin has disproved the existence of God by his theory of evolution. And I want to point out one word that she uses, and she probably missed out on it. This is probably the most common line used to support atheistic belief. I don't think there is a phrase that has been used to support atheistic belief beyond this one line.
Right.
And this is the theory of evolution. Now, first thing is, she says it is the theory of evolution. So a theory of anything is a theory. And what is the theory? A theory is an attempt to give an explanation for what is or for a fact. So in the scientific endeavor, there could be multiple theories to explain the same fact. So a theory is one of the theories. There could be another theory to explain and a third theory to explain the same fact. Now, she's probably, and I think that many people in this world are guilty of not informing others, as Finney rightly pointed out, that there is another theory called the theory of intelligent design. And that's also an alternate theory that gives an explanation for reality. I want to give an example of a very, very well-known atheistic philosopher by the name of Anthony Flew.
Right.
He's famous for his theory of falsification.
Right.
Now, Flew has an interesting background that he was a son of a Methodist minister. He studied in a Christian boarding school, but by the time he became a teenager, he decided that the traditional concept of God was no longer useful, and he adopted atheism. And then he went on to Oxford, and he was influenced by the arguments against the existence of God by philosophers such as David Hume, etc. And in 1950, Anthony Flew delivered a paper called Theory and Falsification before Oxford's Socratic Club. With that began his future as the most prominent voice on atheism. And interestingly, for our contemporary viewers, they might be interested to know that well-known names like Richard Dawkins and Sam Harris, who are the theologians or the ones who speak up for atheism, it is Flew's writings who influence them the most.
Right.
They themselves will acknowledge it. But it is interesting to read that towards his latter days, Flew changed his position. And he changed his position towards deism,
Right.
won over by the data and the fact available on intelligent design.
Right.
So we can see that the data available for intelligent design is so vast and so strong right now that the theory of evolution is actually standing on weak footing. But let me say something more about the theory of evolution. What if God were to have created a universe which has all that is needed? The theory is called a fully gifted creation. That is, all the potentials that were needed for the world to become what it is today was seeded by God himself.
Right.
And as Finney pointed out, where did it all begin? I'll just close with a small example. There is a story told of scientists who had reached the peak of the scientific endeavor. And they all made this claim that now we don't need God, he's locked out. And someone was able to get in touch with God. One of the chief scientists was able to get in touch with God and told him, God, whatever you can do, we can do. Science has progressed well enough. And so God said, okay, so what do you want to do about it? He said, let's have a test. You tell us what you can do and we'll do the same thing. So God said, yes, let's go for it. So the scientist said, let's begin with creation. Okay, we're going to start creating. So God said, well, go ahead and do it. I'll wait and watch. And the scientist bent down and he picked up a bit of dust. And as he picked up the dust, God said, hold on. just drop that down, begin with nothing. Now, the Christian understands that creation came about ex nihilo, or out of nothing. Science cannot get there or even attempt to get there. We need the raw material that is available before we can proceed. So when such statements are made saying that the theory of evolution has disproved the existence of God, it's probably that the reading is not wide enough, or their exposure is not wide enough. And though I respect that there are people who are smart, sensible, intelligent, well-read, who believe in the theory of evolution, I would also think that they also need to be aware that there is an alternate theory, the theory of intelligent design.